Good day, everyone. I'm Zanda Hilger, and I coordinate the Caregiver Teleconnection Program for North Central Texas Area Agency on Aging and Dallas Area Agency on Aging. Our topic today, caregiving in the holidays. It's a big topic. I don't know if those of you listening in with us have already thought this through, how you're going to do it differently this year, but um, what we have today is, let me get back over to that screen. I'm going from screen to screen, folks, sorry to say. But our speaker today is a colleague of mine, a most respected colleague, and that is Paula. I'm Paula Hill. I'm sorry. It's
Hello.
crazy. It's crazy. Paula was just referring to it, so I will refer to it too because it's very appropriate. My husband had 11 days ago. My husband had a 7-hour surgery for lumbar 1 through 5 um, to have a laminectomy, which is clear out all the stuff in between, and then a fusion. It was what's called 360 from the front and the back. Bottom line is he's been in a skilled care facility since Thursday. And I went over there this morning, and Paula, the speaker, and I have talked. And so I'm living the life definitely of a caregiver today and have experienced many of the things that I remember as a caregiver for my mom. So it is a good reminder. Today, though, our topic is going to focus on how do we adjust ourselves and our schedules and still provide the level of care that we need for our loved one, whether that person is in a skilled care facility or an assisted living, or if they're in your own home, or if they're still able to live independently. Our speaker, Paula Hill, is a blog writer and content editor for our very own Family Caregivers Online website. During the years that she's been doing that, she has made a self-study, learning as much as she can about caregiving. In the past, she's been a caregiver. Over the years, she's been a caregiver for various family members, including parents, grandparents, and currently her husband. Paula has a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Texas in Arlington and supports local nonprofit organizations through her company, Strategic Online Solutions. She has made it her business. She goes to many of the older adult and caregiver workshops that she can, and that makes her even more of helpful to us because she came on board to redesign and retrofit probably our Family Caregivers Online website, but has not only done that in an exceptional way, but also has just jumped right into the actual topic itself. So enough said. Paula, over to you.
Well, thank you, Zanda, and hello, everyone. I want to thank everybody for coming today and tuning in. This is a great topic and one all of us deal with, either as a caregiver or as a care recipient. Sooner or later, we're all going to be living this, and I really do appreciate Zanda for giving me her original PowerPoint. As she mentioned, she used to give this presentation out on her road show. She would go to different venues and talk on this topic. And so it was a lot of fun to go through it. And it's a lot of fun working with you, Zanda. So thank you for inviting me to talk about this today. As she mentioned, we're going to talk about holiday traditions and what we're used to, and we're perhaps even redefining some of those traditions. We're going to talk about balancing priorities, communicating with family members, that's a biggie, and planning for the health and well-being of those that we care for, especially when traveling. We're going to talk a lot about managing stress and our time, and we have lots of self-care tips. That's a big topic for Zanda and I, so we're going to be have several slides on that for you, and then we're going to end with a little humor, a little holiday humor. So first, I'd like everyone to take a moment and think about, what do you love about the holidays, and what traditions are unique to you and your family? There may be things that you look forward to every year. It could be as simple as just meeting with your family. Not everybody lives close by, so the holidays are often a time we get to see relatives we don't see often. Of course, we have Some of us have faith traditions we look forward to every year, perhaps like a candlelight service at your church. For some people, it's just the food they love. They love grandma's magic cookie bars or the Swedish meatballs that get cooked every year. For some people, it's a deep dive into the music. Holiday music brings them a lot of comfort. For others, it's decorating, sprucing up your house in the holiday spirit. Some people love giving and receiving gifts. And then on the other side of that coin, there are some of us who don't actually love the holidays or find the holidays a little stress inducing or challenging. So I invite you as we go into the next slides, it's important to think about what you both like and dislike about the holidays. Now, for some of us, holidays can be very stressful or cause anxiety, especially if you've had the responsibility of hosting holiday events for your entire family for many years, and now you're in a role of caregiving. It's really hard to maintain those annual expectations every year when you have so many extra duties that you're trying to balance and take care of as a caregiver.
Can I make a comment,
Oh,
Paula,
yes.
of these two slides? I remember when I put this together, that what do we like? Honestly, doesn't everybody agree you could flip every one of those on the first slide? You could flip them. And what I don't like is sometimes, not necessarily me,
Yeah.
but let's say what they don't like: too many family gatherings, too many people that, the faith traditions. Maybe the loved one is no longer able to really go to one of those events, and there are ways to work around there. But the food, you love the food, but that's the reason why people are heavy afterward. And the music, sometimes the music is wonderful, but at family events, sometimes people forget that there's a hard of hearing older adult there. Anyway, I could go on and on. And
And
as
you're absolutely right. There's
last,
a lot of stress to all
Mhm,
these. Even the gift giving and gift receiving can be stressful.
mhm.
So it's not just all of these. And often we'll find that that our health or the health of those that we're caring for can take a spike during the holidays because of all this extra stress and anxiety. Sometimes we're not as able to keep our health as normal because we have all this extra stress. So these are all things to think about and to look at, because what we're inviting you to do today is take a look at what's important to you. What really is a priority when it comes to the holidays? And perhaps some of these traditions can change. So think about what's important to you, what absolutely has to change. Like I was talking to Zanda, I think normally they travel and they go and see relatives, and that may not be practical this year, depending on how Chuck's recovery goes. So you have to manage expectations with your family members and let them know how things are going. And it's also it's important to look at perhaps roles that other family members can take, stepping into new roles. I mentioned earlier food traditions around the magic cookie bars, the beloved dessert that grandmother always made. Well, perhaps somebody else could make that this year. And never forget to talk to your care recipient and ask them, what do they want this year? What's really important to them? What priorities, what traditions will make them feel good, and what are traditions that they don't really care so much about anymore? Maybe it was important in the past. So it's important not to make assumptions, but to really ask what does everyone else want and need too. But most importantly, as a caregiver, what do you need? I want to ask you, what do you want for the holidays? What do you want for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for New Year's? Because with all the extra responsibilities you have as a caregiver, you have the right to ask and to speak up and say what it is you need. So this one is a little more challenging, but I'd like everyone, if you're a caregiver, especially a new caregiver, think about, are you over caring? As caregivers, we get into the role of we got to do and take care of this, and we're afraid that if we slow down even just a little, we might lose our momentum and lose all of it. So sometimes we just keep going and pushing when it could be we could take a little bit of a break. Maybe we don't need to do every single thing that we're doing, or maybe it doesn't need to be done every day. So think of ways, is your care recipient on any given day, are they well, how can you empower them to remain independent? This independence is so crucial, and it's hard to navigate, it's hard to know, but the more your care recipient can remain independent and self-sufficient, the easier it's going to be on everybody in the long run. So think, as you go through your daily tasks over the next week or two, think about what can you let go of, or and what choices can they make. So anything you want to add to that, Zanda? We'll keep going. We kind of touch on this more on the next slide too. Are there things your care recipient can still do for themselves? And, realize that this could change day by day. Some days we're all stronger. Some days we have more mental clarity than other days. So there may be days where they can do more. So you have to really tune in and think about that. And although things may not be up to your standards of the way you would do them exactly, are there still things that they can do that are good enough to keep everybody healthy and happy? Anything you want to add there, Zanda, or no? Okay. Oh, I think I've lost Zanda. Can't quite hear you, but that's okay. Zanda's talking, but we can't hear her. I think she may have muted herself.
I did. And if anybody has comments or questions, go ahead and type those in. I suggested to Paula that she kind of, we withhold questions from you until the end. And what she's referring to me is we're kind of tag teaming on this, but she's definitely your presenter.
Okay. So the other big topic we wanted to touch on today is asking family for help, especially if these are family members that you haven't had a chance to talk too much about what's happening in your home as a caregiver and with your care recipient. There may have been a major redefining of roles. Perhaps if you're an adult child caring for your adult parent, there may be a bit of a flip there, and of who's in charge or who is. What I'm trying to say is sometimes as an adult child taking care of a parent, it can often be uncomfortable. And it's something that's a level of comfort and discomfort that can be assisted by talking about it. So as relationships change, as the health of your care recipient changes, it's important to keep that communication open and to try to foster more of a partnership when you can in the health of the person you're caring for, but also asking other family members to help. And the best way that you can do that is identify the things that you absolutely need help with. Put your thoughts on paper, make notes, identify areas that you feel other family members can help, and then talk to them about it. And we realize that sometimes this will be a little challenging. Sometimes asking for help is hard. You may ask a relative for help, and this might be the face you get, and that's okay. They can make faces, but it's still important that you go ahead and talk about areas where you and your care recipient need help. And there's no shame in asking for help. And if you feel shame around it, say that. It's just be real and state what you need. And yes, you may get that look, and that's okay, but you might be surprised. They may come back after they've had time and say, yeah, you know what, I really can help. I really can step up. And they may surprise you with what they're willing or capable to do. Now, of course, at the holidays, this happens quite often. You might have someone come to visit, and they may have a lot of opinions about how things are going in the household and it may feel a little overbearing, and perhaps they don't know all the details. And again, it's important to keep that line of communication and explain your position and why things are the way they are. But remember, you are carrying a big load, and you can have boundaries. You can say no, and just because someone has a strong opinion, it's okay for them to express it. It doesn't mean you have to act on it or do anything about it. How can you balance your caregiving with your relationships to other families and with your loved one? Here, family members may expect you to be doing a lot more for them during the holidays. And you have to balance that with your number one priority right now is taking care of your health and the health of the one that you're caring for. That's what's most important. And I remember, this reminds me of a comment. A friend of mine used to say that people will stop underperforming when you stop overperforming, Paula.
Mhm. Good point.
And
Excellent.
sometimes you just have to, state what you need, ask for help, and give people the opportunity to step up and do their best. And it may be something as simple as, I know you take a vacation to the beach every Christmas. Perhaps this year you would consider vacationing near to us so that you could perhaps come and help. If you seem to have a lot of opinions about the state of the house, really could use your help coming to help us, clean things up and get things in good working order. And you might be surprised, they may just take you up on that and do that. Next, I want to shift gears a little and talk about traveling. Often we travel to go see our relatives. So you really, when you're going to travel as a caregiver with your care recipient, try to think the whole process through. Are you traveling? Are you driving? Are you going by plane? How are you traveling, and how far are you traveling, and how long will this traveling take? It may be every year you've gone to visit relatives for a week. Perhaps this year you might speak with your care recipient and say, how long do you want to be gone from home? They may not want to go for a week. They may still want to go for a day or two, but this would be a perfect time to manage expectations with your relatives and say, we're still going to come, but traveling's a little bit harder. So this year we're only going to stay for a couple of days, or we may be choosing to stay in a hotel instead of in your home, depending on the situation. So, and there's also some challenges if your care recipient is not living at home, if they're not currently at home or no longer at home with you. How long are they going to be comfortable being away from where they go? So, and there may be things you want to talk to your facility about before you check who you're taking care of out. Zanda, do you have anything you want to add there, or is there anything?
No, I think that's pretty thorough, but I would just underscore what you said about communication. All of it, especially in travel, and that the person who's living at long distance doesn't make assumptions. I made a note to put this in later on, but I wanted to talk about, for those of you who've never heard of this term, I learned it from a group of caregivers, seagulls. That very often the out-of-town caregivers or the out-of-town family members are like seagulls. They might swoop into your house and do their thing all over your house. It disrupts schedules, disrupt your routines, and then they're going to fly away. And how important, whether you're going to them or you come or they're coming to you, that communication and the beauty of email and even of social media, that you can send them a bulleted list.
Yes, so important. And this is why getting your thoughts down on paper is important. So if you will be traveling, plan ahead. And the most important thing, again, is the health, your health and the health of the person you're caring for. Any medical needs, make sure you have plenty of medications. You don't want to be running out of medication if you're out of town. And you might want to look ahead if you're going to a different city of, where will you go if there is an emergency? So you might just look ahead. It's easier to think about these things in advance than, when you're in a crisis situation. Pay special attention to meal planning. Do any of your medications or the medications of the people you're caring for, do they require food? Is it, or any of the medications refrigerated? And if so, plan ahead to pack a cooler. How are you going to keep these medications refrigerated? All of these are important to think about before you hit the road. And another good tip is to, think about what you're going to wear. You want to be comfortable as you're traveling, but you might want to be prepared too, and keep a change of clothes or a change of undergarments in your carry-on bag. Accidents happen, especially as we're under more stress. So you want to be prepared for these things so that everybody can remain comfortable. And Alexandra said, when you're going to visit with other people, think about ask in advance before you go. Kids, pets, music, noise, especially those of us who are caring for people that have dementia or Alzheimer's. Sometimes loud noises can be a little scary, frankly, even if it is just Christmas music. So people are more sensitive to noise these days. You might want to check in advance and say, is there a place where we can rest once we get there? Is there a spare bedroom where we can rest? Maybe that spare bedroom is being used by another family member, but if during the day, if things get tense, or, your care recipient just needs a nap, try to get that arranged in advance before you get there. Or this may be a good year to stay in a hotel and not stay with them, but don't hesitate to ask, manage expectations, and let them know that this is a concern for you before you arrive. I'm going to spend a couple of slides talking about things that you can do with your family. Encourage different family members to come and sit and talk with you and your care recipient. Do things together. You can often we get so locked into our electronic devices, but playing cards and board games can be a lot of fun. Even watching movies together, or reading or listening to music together. Some people love poetry and books. You can even read books to one another. And of course, things to do with family. I want to bring up the magic cookie bars and the Swedish meatballs again. This might be the perfect year to pass that torch on to someone else. You can work together to, you can give up the secret recipe and help maybe a younger family member enjoys cooking, teaching them how to make that dish. And that can be a lot of fun too. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to feel obligated to spend half a day in the kitchen, and you can ask for help, and other people may enjoy taking that over for you. So something to think about. And don't hesitate to ask the younger generation to help. Running errands, helping with housework. Sometimes people they want to help, but they don't know how. So giving them direction helps. And there's a wonderful book called The Monastic Way, where Sister Joan Chitzler, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but anyway, she talks a lot about the special relationship young people and older adults have together. Young people love to talk with older adults, not to be preached at or corrected, but talking about the substantial things in life, and especially the younger generations, they really do cherish that. And sometimes asking them for help could be as simple as allowing you to go and take a nap, or giving you the time to go and run an errand. Again, it's thinking about what you need and speaking up and asking for that help. Communication is key in all of this. Let's see, food meals. Again, if possible, think about your medications. Do they require food? Can those meals be planned around medications, or are there foods that you can have available for when you do, or for when your care recipient needs to take medication? If you're going to visit someone and you're not going to be eating with them, you might want to ask the elder adult, when do you want to eat today? How long do you want to stay if we're not having a meal? And are they comfortable eating out, either on the way there or on the way home? If you are going to a big family meal, think about inviting your older adult to come to the table first before you invite everyone else. They may need a little help getting settled in. it may be easier to get them to the table and settled in with their drink and maybe even a little snack, and then invite everybody else to come. Especially if it's a big rowdy group, it'll be easier if you can go slower and get them settled before you invite everyone else to the table. And this is a great time to give them a place of honor at the table. And so think about these things if you can, especially if it's a big group in a tight house and you've got a lot going on. It's safety first, when anyone falling or getting tripped. Oh, speaking of tripping, I want to go back to the earlier I talked about pets. If you're going to visit someone that has a brand new puppy or a large animal, be sure and you talk to them before you arrive. If the dog is a jumper, a big 85-pound dog jumping on you to say hello, you have to manage expectations with the people you're visiting, and talk about this before you get there. Gift giving is still a big part of the holidays. So people often want to know, what can I get you? What can I get, grandma? What can I get dad this year? Gift cards are often a great gift. And one nice thing you can do about gift cards to a favorite restaurant is not only give the card, but say, let's go here and plan it. Let's set a date. Let's go next month. And that can be a lot of fun and future fun too. You might want to think in terms of sentimental items like scrapbooks, family items, framed photos. This might be a good time to pass the torch on some of these items that you've been hanging on to. Comfort items like candles and bath gels and body lotions. As long as the recipient doesn't have any issues around scent, you might want to check on that first. Candles could be a safety issue, but those are always great gifts. Food, coffee, tea, treats. These are great if they're not contraindicated by any doctor's orders. If you're a diabetic, you want to, or the person that you're buying the gift for is diabetic, you might want to be careful about giving them foods that aren't good for them. You might have someone in the family that writes beautiful letters. Maybe a young person that loves to blog and write. Ask them to write a letter. Clothing, always a great option. There's a lot of fun stuff out there, but take a look at what they have and don't have. If they have plenty of ties and nobody wears ties anymore, you don't feel obligated to get them just because you've gotten them a tie every year for Christmas. If nobody wears ties anymore, it may not be as appreciated as you think. So what have they received that they aren't using? You want to just take a look at those things and think about what you're buying. And, are you buying it because you like it, or are you buying it because you think they need it, or are you buying it because you think they would enjoy it or appreciate it? Another fun thing you can do is calendars make great gifts, and you can have calendars made with photos of yourself and your family. So if that might be a fun thing that you can have done. You can get them done at Office Depot, and they're not very expensive. And there's online places where you can just upload your photos. So some different ideas, and feel free to Google this, gift ideas for older adults. I know one of the gifts that I gave my husband last year was a weighted blanket, and he loves this thing, and there are specialty slippers you can get that will really hold the foot nicely. Don't have to worry about slipping and falling. There's all kinds of different things. So don't be intimidated by gift giving, and don't feel like you have to spend a lot of money on gift giving. Gifts are not what the season is really about. It's just become a tradition. So I want to move into self-care. This is a huge topic for us. We have a lot of content about this on familycaregiversonline.net. And it's so important. We talk a lot about respite, taking care of yourself. And so here are our top 15 ways to take care of yourself. First of all, lower your expectations. Just because you spent 2 days cooking Swedish meatballs and the magic cookie bars doesn't mean you have to do that this year. It'll be okay. be kind to yourself, recognize your limits, be realistic about what you can do this year. Maybe, you know, it's just not in the cards, and that's okay. Prioritize, like we said earlier, prioritize what's important to you. Make a list of what you really want to do, and do what's on your list, and don't do any more. We've all heard the term, keep it simple, sweetheart, keep it simple, salesperson, but I love this version, keep it simple and sane. This is so important as a caregivers. Sometimes we look at our schedules and it's just crazy the things that we think we have to do. So keep things simple and sane, and feel free to say no, set boundaries. It may be that you drive across town. I live in Fort Worth. Maybe every year you've driven to the other side of Dallas to visit with people. Say no this year. Say, let's have a Zoom meeting instead. Let's talk on the phone instead. It's just, I don't have 4 hours to drive to Dallas and back this year. I'm sorry, but maybe you can come over here this year. And breathe. Breathing deeply. Zanda mentioned endorphins in our brain, these feel-good chemicals. Taking these little micro breaks to just sit down and take a deep breath, shut our eyes, slow down for a minute. It helps so much when you're caregiving. I know we think that if we're going to, if we don't stay on top of everything and go all the time, we'll lose our momentum. But truly, respite should be a priority for you, as is sleep. Take naps when you can. Try to get in bed early. You don't have to check Facebook every night. And schedule time for yourself. Schedule time for exercise. You're going to be a better and more effective caregiver if you're healthy. So make your health a priority. It's okay to take time for that. And have some fun. We're gonna get into fun a little bit here. Zanda mentioned I've pulled a few jokes in, but even listening to music can be fun. And I wanted to mention, if holiday concerts are something that you've always done every year in the past, and it's not going to be something you can do this year, check out YouTube. There are plenty of holiday concerts you can listen to for free, and you can listen to them on your phone. Don't give up music if it's an important part of this holiday season for you, but don't feel sad just because you're not able to go and do it the way you've done in the past. Think of new ways. Again, limit shopping. Don't feel obligated. The grandkids may be expecting huge and expensive gifts every year, but they will live without it. They'll be okay with just a gift card. And your faith is yours. Faith can be a way can give you a lot of comfort. So don't let that slide if that's important to you. But above all, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, and realize you don't have to do it all. Okay, I'm going to go into, we have 4 slides here. Whoops, what happened? Am I advancing? Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. Ask for help. We've talked about this before. So over the next 4 slides, just make notes of what you can do. Let go of what you can't control. And this taking initiative to influence what you can, again, this is asking for help. This is speaking up. This is saying no. This is saying, that's a great idea. Why don't you try that? Or this is a great idea, but it's just not going to work for us this year. Stay in the moment. Take one day at a time. Try to value the time you have. And especially if you're caring for someone who is ending the near of their life, value the time you have with them. This is a great time of year to reminisce. Reminiscing is important. It's good to remember the good times. It's good to talk about the good times. And as you're reminiscing, tell people you love them and how much you value them. Zanda, I was really intrigued with this last bullet point you had in here. Reframe how you see situations and people. Can I ask you to talk a little bit about that in your role as a professional counselor?
Especially with family members. It kind of goes along with, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get the same result. your brother, sister, aunt, or uncle, they're not the same person that they were 10 years ago. And so instead of assuming certain reactions from certain people, reframe how you see that, but also how you communicate with them. That again, they're different, you're different. This experience, especially if it's a family member for them, like their mother or father or whatever, they may have gone through some changes too. And you kind of have to feel your way around that. But I hope that makes sense. Just refocus, reframe that relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, back to people will stop underperforming when you stop overperforming. Part of that is asking for help and coming up with ways that they can help. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is a good one, Zanda. Recognizing the harmful effects of expecting everything to be perfect. Oh my gosh. Things are not going to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. And there's a lot of happy accidents that can come out of things not being perfect. And you may find that there are traditions you've been doing every year that are very time consuming and hard on you that just aren't that important to other people. So if you don't put up a giant tree, it doesn't mean that it's not perfect. A tabletop tree may be just fine this year. You don't have to add extra burden and extra stress on yourself just because it's Christmas time. So be flexible and think of alternatives. Remind the high cost of worry. Yes, worry is very, very useless. There's very little good that comes out of worry. I mean, it's good to think about things, but worrying about things is not helpful. Dana, do you have anything that you want to add about worry?
Oh, no. Other than this, I come from, and many of you may identify with this, I come from a family on my mother's side of world-class worriers. They worried about everything. They worried their life away. And so I describe myself as a warrior in recovery, meaning that I'm stop myself a lot sooner than I used to. And the trick is redirect your thinking. Take a deep breath and redirect almost to anything other than what you're worrying about. Because then I pose this question: how much of what we worry about ever happens that way? It happens another way that we might not even have thought about, but it's going to be different.
And I just want to say, Xander really does walk her talk. There's many times as Chuck, her husband Chuck's been going through his surgery, that I've heard her say, I'm just not going to worry about it. I just can't worry about that. Worrying isn't going to help. So I hear you say that a lot. You really do. You have learned, you may have grown up as a world-class warrior, but you have learned that it's just not helpful for you.
No.
And this feeds into the next one, respond but don't react. Often people may say things, if they've come to visit you, this may be the first time they're seeing you as you're going through, as you're in this new role of caregiving, and they may have a lot of opinions. And you can respond to their opinions and thank them for their opinions, but that doesn't mean you have to jump in and make changes. Not everything is possible right now. And the bullet before that, be willing to accept that sometimes enough is okay, and maybe things are good enough as they are, and you don't have to change everything just to make it like it was in the past. And this is a great time of the year to as you're thinking about self-care, don't overdo things, including what we eat, what we drink, or shopping, but don't overdo doing. I've mentioned this several times, but perhaps instead of going and doing and that extra thing, maybe you can sit down and take a respite break. You may not be allowed a full day of respite, but maybe a respite break would help you. And realize that you're worth it. You're worth taking care of yourself too. Remember to focus on what's really important. This and the reasons you're celebrating it. It's not about the gifts. It's not about the expensive gifts or the fancy meals or, the overly decorated house. It's really about connecting with your loved ones, connecting with the person that you're caring for. And, and maybe if you're caring for, for a spouse, find when you give yourself time to reminisce and remember the spark in that relationship. This is a good time of the year to do that. So focus on family, laughter, the happy memories. And Zanda had the serenity prayer in there, and it's always a good one. Even if you're not a particularly religious or spiritual person, just saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So it's important you take care of yourself as a family caregiver. Okay, we're going to get into the humor stuff now. Okay, keep your sense of humor. This is my holiday card this year.
Love it.
Traditionally, I've done spiritual cards, but this year I thought, you know what? It's a little bit of
Fun.
spirituality, but I'm going for humor this year. This is a really challenging year for my husband and I. So I'm going to keep my sense of humor. And Zanda, will you do a knock knock joke with me?
Knock, knock.
Knock knock. No, I'm going to say knock knock.
Okay, go ahead.
You say
Who's there?
Alaska.
Alaska who?
I'll ask you again. What do you want for the holiday? As a caregiver, you get to choose what do you want for the holidays, how much you're going to decorate, where you're going to go, if you're going to stay home, who you're going to allow into your home, what you're going to cook. What do you want? What's reasonable? What's good enough? What can you handle without causing any extra stress for you and your family? So I'll ask you again, what do you want for the holidays? And I encourage everyone to think about this for themselves. So Zanda knows I'm a big cat lover, so I've put in a couple of jokes to lighten your afternoon. So what is the last thing a Christmas ornament sees before it dies is is the little kitty who knocks it off. I know the years that I do put up a tree, I can't put anything on the bottom 2 feet because those cats get up there and knock it down. I saw a cute one. The cats are asking themselves, will it bounce? Well, maybe this will bounce. So they just keep going until they're all gone. And then this next one, really, I got a good chuckle out of this one. What did you get for Christmas? Well, fat. I ate too many of the magic cookie bars. That poor cat. He looks like he ate one of the ornaments or two, but Zanda has several adorable dogs, so I didn't want to leave out the dog lovers. This little dog, he hasn't been naughty this year, but whoever put that costume on him, he doesn't look like he's enjoying it very much. So he's about to be a little naughty. And I thought this one was a really cute Christmas card. The Santa or the snowman here is chastising his little dog for having a dog eat accident on the carpet. So fun cards. Everybody enjoys getting fun cards. And maybe all you do this year is instead of gifts is give everyone fun cards. Something to think about. So, well, that wraps up what I have in my presentation. I do want to take a minute to talk, as Zanda mentioned earlier, we have been working on familycaregiversonline.net. This is our flagship website. Zanda and I have been building this website and working on it for many, many years. We have, Zanda, I don't know if you know this, but we have over 500 blogs on our website.
I wasn't aware. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
You're always looking for content. And I sent you some this morning, but Paula's a master at looking at caregiver content.
Well, I took a look. We have a blog category titled Holidays, and we have over 25 articles in that category on holidays and all the different, Thanksgiving, Christmas, how to talk with relatives at the holidays. We really go in depth into that because this is a prime time to talk to your relatives about what's going on and even to manage expectations about what you're looking at health-wise for yourself and your care recipient. And this is a great time of the year to bring other family members in, asking them to step up, or even maybe it's just as simple as helping them understand what the reality is of the new normal for you right now. But I invite everybody to take a look at our website. We have a lot of great educational programs. These are all self-paced. You can skim them or you can take a deep dive. We have a comprehensive resource directory. A lot of the resources are just targeted for North Central Texas. I know a lot of our people online with us today live in the North Central Texas area. And as Zanda mentioned, we're funded by part of our funding comes from the North Central Texas Area Agency on Aging. And if you don't know what an Area Agency on Aging is, you can read all about them on our website. We have links to where you can look yours up. These agencies are funded typically by the state to provide services for caregivers and older adults. And I'd also like to, as you're on our site, sign up for our e-newsletter. This is Zanda's baby. She puts out 2 amazing newsletters every month, and one of them is full of events just like this one, free webinars for caregivers. And the other one always has tips and articles. So we invite you to take advantage of this great content that we put out for you, and send us a note. Let us know what you'd like to see. Zanda puts on this teleconnection webinar every month, or maybe topics you'd like to hear about it. Please let us know. We're here for you. We serve you. We love caregivers. We've been caregivers. I'm sure we'll be care recipients at some point, but we love caregivers and we understand what you're going through. It is the hardest unpaid job on the planet, and it deserves a lot more attention and respect. And just know that we love you and respect you and honor you and for everything you do as a family caregiver. Then, is there anything else that you'd like to share on this?
Oh, so beautifully said what you just said. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of the chats. Nancy Newberry said, I love what Paula said earlier. People will start underperforming when you stop overperforming. She liked that one. She also,
well, yeah, if everybody thinks you have it handled and you're doing it all,
exactly, then why do I need to? And sometimes we caregivers are our own worst enemy, because if people aren't doing it the way we would do it, we take it back. That's another challenge for caregivers. Nancy also said, I think of it, the worrying part, as switching the channel, in quotes, switching the channel in my brain like you would with a TV remote control. That's so visual. That's such a great way to look at it. Have a new message that's come in. Christine, thank you. Christine said, great job. I want to take it back to a couple of comments. The question that was asked is, what are your favorites? And then what do you dislike? It's like I said before, almost everything that you can put as a favorite, you can turn it around and it becomes what you dislike or becomes a source of stress. One of the things I'd like to say is that decorations, I've always loved Christmas decorations, but what I've started doing, what I've started doing is giving them to family members or anybody who maybe gave them to me or they made them. And I don't do as much decorating as I used to, and I'm just as happy. I'm glad that I did it through the years, but I'm just as happy with less decoration. But my home wouldn't feel right if it didn't have. Let's see, I'm looking at a comment. Minerva, our wonderful, well-med genius that's also online with us, something new we are trying this year is we are meeting at a city halfway through the family travel. So this is her own comment. Something new we are trying this year is we are meeting at a city halfway through the family travel so we can have lunch for Thanksgiving. This is replacing having to drive all the way to where they live. Genius.
Yes. And isn't it nice not to have to do the cooking or the dishes?
Oh my gosh. I have to tell a quick story that is about caregivers. Several years ago, I did a support group in Dallas, and it was a group of ladies in this case. And one of the ladies in this particular topic on this particular year, we started talking about what are you going to do different with the holidays. And she raised her hand and she said, I'm so upset. I don't know what to do. Always, I've been the one to do the holidays. I love doing it, all the cooking and all the special meals. But she said, I'm just overwhelmed this year and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to do this and take care of my husband while all this is going on. Well, all these ladies, another value of support groups, all of these ladies just jumped in and they said, what is it? I remember one of them said, well, what is it you enjoy the most? And she said, well, I enjoy the family coming to our house. And there's one, they love my dressing that I do. And so somebody else chimed in. Before it was over, she had a plan. And the plan was she was going to reach out to her children, her adult children, and be willing to say, I'm overwhelmed this year and I need your help. And so in January, because we did this session in December, in January, she could barely contain herself. She couldn't wait for us to get started. And she said, all I did was I sent an email to the family, to my adult children. And she said, apparently they talked behind the scenes. All of a sudden, I got a call from one of them who said, we don't want you to worry about anything. If you will just host it and make your dressing, we will take care of everything else. And she said it was the most humbling and overwhelming experience because some of the kids and grandkids even came over and cleaned the house. They came over and used her kitchen. And she said they were sitting around the table. And one of the family members said, I have to say, I think this is the best, if not one of the best holiday meals we've ever had together. So I guess the point of that is, number one, you got to ask and be specific about what you need. I mean, sometimes you have to be humble and admit you need help. And the other point is give our family the opportunity. And I loved what you said a while ago about ask them, but give them some time to think about it and figure it out. And be specific about what you need. And for those of them that give them like 2 or 3 choices. So they feel they have a choice. They could do one thing or the other thing. But I always think of that as such a great way of talking about the holidays don't have to be even more of a burden for caregivers. And here at our house, we're probably going to have some people over, just, 2 or 3, but it won't be anything close to what we're used to. And that's okay. It's okay for me. It's okay for my husband. But I guess it's the flexibility. And my personal motto is flexibility and sense of humor anyway. Anyway, so that's just some ideas. Can I
will share.
Yes, please.
I will share one thing that my husband and I have started doing. We started this a couple of years ago. The food is very important to my husband, and I offered to him. I said, "What foods are most important to you?" And he said, well, the turkey, the sweet potato casserole, the pie, and he named every food. I'm like, okay, how would you? But as a small business owner and a caregiver, I couldn't quite pull all of that together. So what we do now is I make all of those dishes, but not all on the same day.
Right. Excellent.
Throughout the month of November, he gets every one of those dishes, but it may be one a week. During the week we will have the turkey, and it really works out better because it was too many leftover. It was too much food. So that's how we came up with this.
Great idea. And I'm looking at the chats. If anybody else has something to add to what we've been talking about,
or tips.
And I've got a couple of things, some of what, this I sent to everybody. Your copy of the PowerPoint presentation that Paula's been using is in a PDF file on your email from WellMed. And those of you that need it mailed, I'm sure that can be done too. Let's see.
I'll be posting it on our website.
Yes. And those of you that you're already on our email, and we do not take your emails and copy them onto our email list unless you ask us. We're not going to be like everybody else and send you something you don't want or need. But if you are interested to be added, we do them 2 a month and you will not be spammed. I guarantee that. You mentioned music, how important music is. And just a reminder, everybody, that churches some of the churches have their own website, and they either live stream or they record services. So if you or your care receiver cannot get to a church, and sometimes that's more stressful, is if you just listen on YouTube, watch on YouTube, or listen through their website.
Well, and it's a great opportunity to attend a church, you know, nice fancy churches, maybe in a bigger
Mhm.
city. You know, it doesn't have to even be a local
Mhm.
church, so, or even in a different country. So you can go
Yeah,
traveling.
you can go traveling. Reminiscing, a little bit of caution about reminiscing is that if they start reminiscing about the old days and you see them getting upset, then just redirect them in a different direction. One example I heard once was they were talking about their brother, and when they were kids on Christmas Day, they took the car and ended up in the ditch and blah, 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 blah. But this person started to get a little upset because he was thinking about this powerful memory. And so the caregiver said, you've talked about him before, and don't you think he's just like our Andrew, which was his grandson, his great grandson? Andrew seems to have a lot of those traits. Did I tell you what he did last week? So you kind of that's another reframe. Bring it into the present and make it about somebody that is currently in their life. So
Hmm.
that is a way, just pay attention when they're reminiscing, because sometimes it can be very painful. I'm
Right.
looking through, I
Oh,
think,
I love Nancy's comment. She baked the cookies in advance. So
yes,
that's over Thanksgiving. That is a great idea. You don't have to do everything the day before.
absolutely. And frozen cookies are good. They really are. Great idea, Nancy. That's another thing I do less often. No, not less often. I don't do as much cookies, but if there is a way that you could draw in the grandkids, maybe at your house, not on Christmas, but the week before or something, I have a cookie baking day with they're actually not blood relatives, but they're my best friend's kids, our grandchildren. And what they like the most is the candy cane cookies,
Mm.
where you dye some red and dye some white. So they'll make a couple of those, and then they'll get real creative and some real strange cookies come out. But anything that you can find that makes it easier for you. In my case, my best friend actually did the cookie dough, but I came over and helped them make them. So
Ah.
maybe that's a way, either with a friend or a family member. How about the rest of you? Do you have a comment you want to make? Please jump in. It's just now 1:01. We've got time.
And there's nothing wrong with buying cookie dough at the store either.
Absolutely.
I mean, if the point of the gathering is to
Uh-huh.
gather and have fun together,
It's the
it
gathering.
doesn't matter if you mixed it or
Mhm.
Betty Crocker mixed it.
Absolutely.
It's just giving yourself the freedom to, you know,
Mhm.
do things a little differently. It's okay. It'll all be okay.
It'll all be okay. Okay,
Well, this
few
was a
seconds.
lot of fun, Zanda. Again, thank you for inviting me to do this. It was really wonderful. I really appreciate the opportunity. And
Well, it was great. Is there any last minute comments or a summary any of you want to make on out loud? Don't even have to type it in. Or maybe I'll ask it this way. What one thing did you get out of today's presentation that you want to do something with? I guess they've all got it in front of them. Just
okay,
spend a
very
few
good.
minutes kind of thinking through what we talked about. And I guess the challenge is for me is, what can we do differently to make the best of this situation?
Mhm. Yeah.
Paula, thank you. Such a great job. Appreciate all that you did. And everyone who has joined us, thank you for sharing your time. The reason why we try to do this in November is we've got two major holidays. A lot of the slides refer to Christmas, but we've got Hanukkah coming up, and we've got uh, Kwanzaa. There's a whole lot of holidays, but our first major holiday, of course, is Thanksgiving. And hopefully you can take some of these points and make them, use them for all of your holidays. Next month, I'm going to do something I've been doing every year for several years now on Caregiver Teleconnection. I have to look up the date. And that's where we have an it'll be on December 11th at noon Central Time. And it's very much an interactive discussion. I'll post some questions, but basically it's your turn to either talk about what you're doing differently this year or challenges that you have that you maybe need our help with, or just to give voice to some of the thoughts that you've had that you've been reluctant to share with someone else. So that really is, you're the featured speaker next month. Same
Sounds
time.
like a support group.
In many ways, it is a support group for the holidays. And of course, by then it will be, Thanksgiving will be over, but Christmas, I think everybody agrees with it. It just expands every year. It gets longer and longer. When I saw Christmas decorations in August being sold at one of the major retail stores, I thought, oh, Lord. I agree that time does seem to be going faster, especially as we get older. But anyway, take care of yourselves. Thank you again, Paula, for the work that you put into this and your heart. It was very obvious that you put your heart and soul into this. Goodbye, everybody. Take care. Our blessings for your Thanksgivings, and we hope that you'll join us on December 11th. And thank you again, Minerva. She's just awesome.
Thank you. Bye.